Um, well, hi, Carol. You were just asking me about how I got into this, and about my work. Actually, my work has nothing to do with this project. This is purely a personal project, meant to.
Oh,
Um, it was actually my cure to social distancing. I've been working at home for the past 2 years, and I realized I could go days without actually seeing people in person or just talking to family. And so I said, well, if I have to go out there and interview a person a day, ideally, I mean, my plan was to do it in person, like people at the coffee shop and at the store and, on the street, random strangers. Then
yes.
that would force me to get out and kind of make sure that I don't lose the skill of talking to people and maybe expand the number of people I know and that type of thing. So, but with the COVID thing, it's all moved online.
Yeah, yeah. So this works though. You can reach people the same and well, not exactly the same because when you approach somebody, they kind of have to stop and listen. And whenever you're sending messages like, will you meet with me? They may not want to do that.
Well, that's true too. And but my problem with meeting, people I don't know is it's hard for me to explain to them what the project is without it sounding like a scam. They're like, how is this going to cost me? Like, what are you really after?
Yeah, I could totally see that. Yep.
Yeah. So at least online, it's people can kind of see what the project's about, and maybe it has at least a little bit more legitimacy. I mean, it is just a personal project, so how legit can those be? But
Well, so what made you want to find the information out about the moon?
oh well, space exploration's always been a passion of mine. So and I'm really excited about us returning back to the moon in 2024. And I'm really thinking like the 2020s are going to be to space what the 1990s were to the internet. And I think at the end of this decade, our kind of concept of what's normal and possible is going to be completely radically different than what it is now. And I thought it'd be kind of good to capture people's perception on how it is now and how they think it's going to change. And then at the end of the
Mhm.
decade or the decade after that, we kind of look back and see what people think. Sort of like, could you imagine getting people's impressions on like the internet and computers and mobile devices in the early 1990s, and then like looking at those today and seeing what people thought?
Yes, because whoever thought that we'd have smart watches, just like Inspector Gadget, when we were kids, we're like, oh, that would be so cool. You could
Uh,
see somebody from a watch, or I mean, you can do so much more with them now. Even besides seeing someone, I mean, your downloads, your music, all of that. Whoever thought that would be possible? I didn't.
and it's keeping track of how many steps you take, your heartbeat, and when you're
Yeah,
resting.
it's insane. The technology is just, and I wonder how much further can it really go? And it's almost scary because you wonder, is it a good thing or is it too much?
I know, and I keep looking at the technology around us, and it's so complex. And I mean, like I remember whenever I was a kid taking apart like tape players, and you would actually see the tape go through the tape player, and you'd kind of have
Yes.
some concept of how it worked. But this iPhone, I mean, it's completely a monolithic hidden device. I mean, I don't even know where to begin to take it apart. And even if I did, would any of it make sense? And could I change it and learn from it? So
Probably not.
I know, but I mean, used to a lot of the technology we used to use was very accessible for exploration and understanding what it was. So I just worry, like the next generation, they would have grown up these devices from the very beginning, and you know how it must feel very intimidating for them to try to expand on it and what have you. Of course, maybe I'm just um, underestimating uh, what they'll be able to do. But,
Yeah, I wonder how much time is going to continue. you know. So anyway,
but did you know that we were sending people back to the moon in 2024?
I did. I was excited whenever they reopened the space program again, and I got a kick out of the emblem and how they kind of made the comparison between the Star Trek symbol and all that. I thought that was neat. But yeah, I was excited. It's something we haven't done since the 1970s, I think.
That's
And
right, 1972 is the last time.
oh yeah, I mean that's longer than I've been alive.
I
So
know, me too, or even the current NASA administrator who was born in 1975.
oh, what? That's young. I can't believe someone so young has that position.
I know, that's the same year I was born too, but just like, you like look at that and you're like, alternate career path, you know? Uh,
Yes, exactly. And but there's so much to be discovered even still. I mean, I know we made our voyages there, what, maybe two times, I think.
we landed on the moon 6 times from 1969 to 1972, and we've had a total of 12 people walk on the moon.
I didn't know it was that many. I'm only aware of the two trips.
Mm.
The big names, I guess. So yeah, that's really cool. There's so much more to explore. Like, what kind of minerals are found there? Or is there anything that we could use and bring back? And can we utilize the moon for our own benefit? Or there's talk of people wanting, well, would you live on the moon if there was a space station there to permanently? And to me, that's scary. I don't think I would be the one to do that now that I'm a parent, but maybe my younger years I would have been all for it. But I prefer gravity myself. It's kind of spooky. Space is spooky, but it fascinates me at the same time.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned before you became a parent, and I was just reflecting to myself about how dangerous the world has become since becoming a parent. It's like everything that can go wrong has already happened in my mind the moment I see the possibility of it. And I was wondering, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, exactly. Yes. I
Uh,
mean, the thing, I mean, and especially right now, there's a very bad climate right now between groups of people. I think it's a smaller faction that's actually causing a lot of it, but yeah, it's just scary.
it is, yeah. I mean, like this whole COVID-19 thing, it's like it feels so difficult to really assess the threat of it. It's like it almost feels like a landmine type of thing. You could walk plenty of times up and down a field and never run into any problems, or you could be that one unfortunate person that steps on the landmine.
Oh, exactly. Now my oldest son has recovered from COVID. He
Oh,
did well with it. So yeah, so I'm thankful for that. So he did recover well, and he's still recovering. Actually, it takes a long time to get over it for some people, not for everybody.
um, how old is he?
He's 27.
Okay, and how long has he had it?
He was diagnosed with it Thursday, last Thursday, so almost a week ago. So no, I'm sorry, the week before that. So it's been nearly 2 weeks. So he still can't smell or taste. So he's worrying if that's a permanent side effect because they don't know yet.
Hmm. I had a coworker that got it, and he had like 3 weeks of like 103-degree temperature, and he was in the hospital for a week, but he made a full recovery as well.
Wow, that's remarkable how some people handle it. It's not the same for everybody.
No, in fact, I understand some people have it and don't even know it.
Yes, there's a lot of asymptomatic people, I guess you would say, and yeah, so a lot of the guys that he works with were asymptomatic. They tested positive, but never had any symptoms. So
I think that's what makes this so dangerous. Like the flu is probably more deadly than this, but if you have the flu, you know it and you stay home.
and pretty much everybody has the same side effects. But with this, I mean, people run fever for weeks, some for days, some not at all. It's just strange. It's very unusual.
It is, yeah, I don't think there's anything else quite like it that we know about, or at least hasn't gotten our attention.
Yeah, that's true. And I hope there's nothing else behind it. Or it
I
mutates
know.
into something worse, you never know.
I,
And
I was thinking, we really should be like investigating all these viruses out in nature. I understand that this came from like a bat or a pig or something to humans. And I was just thinking if we knew more about viruses in nature that could potentially come over, maybe we could catch things like this quicker.
Oh, that's a good thought. Yeah, I didn't think about that because it's strange that something that went from animal to human now goes from human to human, and it transfers that way. And was it a mutation of some sort in nature? I don't know. We do need to discover more of that. I agree, and I wonder if the moon has anything on it like that. You know, are there
Yeah,
anything living? Are there anything that some kind of? I know this sounds far fetched, but I mean, it's almost like alien. But are there little alien worms or something that maybe we don't know about?
yeah, it's a good question. I mean, on the surface of the moon, it has no atmosphere. And on the side that's facing the sun, it's like a positive 200 degrees Celsius. And on the side that's not facing the sun, it's negative 200 degrees Celsius. So it has like these huge temperature swings and no atmosphere. And it's hard to imagine um, how life might survive on the moon. But one thing that we learned since, like, I think we learned it back in 2010 from orbital observations, is that in some permanently shadowed craters, there's actually deposits of water ice that over like billions of years, apparently like wet asteroids and comets have hit the moon, and some of the water molecules have made it into these craters, and in there it's extremely cold, and there's actually water ice. You have to get it out and melt it. But the thing is, whenever things hit the earth, sometimes they kick up enough stuff that they make it into space. And it's not inconceivable to think that some of that may have made it to the moon and also has been preserved to some degree in these craters as well. So there might be
Oh,
kind of, I mean, we don't know what's there. It may be not, it's like grandma's attic, it's like either there's a bunch of junk or there might be this one thing that's worth, uh, untold amount of value. So,
yeah, that's really cool. I mean, are we capable of getting to the colder side of the moon?
um, well, the thing is, the moon actually spins, but
That's
it's doing the same rate as it goes around the moon,
mm-hmm.
and so we always see the same face, but it
Yeah.
so that's I mean it goes through every day on the moon is 28 of our days. So if you were to
Oh,
stay if you were to stay on our side of the moon, you would have 14 day and a 14 day night, if that makes sense.
oh, imagine. That's
Yeah.
odd. Wow. Yeah, there's I don't know about the moon, obviously, but I'm glad that you do because you can inform everyone.
Yeah, I'm just learning. I'm just parroting what I've heard, so I hope it's true.
Well, how else do we get our information unless it's someone who's done something up there, or you know? So
Yeah,
that's cool.
we need more people with direct experience who can either say, those ideas were completely way off, or, that is right. That would be good.
Yeah, I know, but well, I know because even with history, that we go back and we say, oh, well, that wasn't exactly how that happened, or how, this is what people used to believe. This is what we know now, and and everything's so new with the moon. It's kind of like the ocean. We don't know really much about the ocean, so, but even more so, I mean, because we can't just daily make trips to the moon to go and check things out.
I know, at least not yet. Not yet.
Maybe it's coming. That would you go?
I would love to go. I think that would be remarkable. Yeah.
So, how long does it take one to get to the moon?
Well, a lot of it depends on how fast you go. It took the astronauts on the Apollo program 3 days to go, but they particularly went slow because however fast you go, you need to be able to expend energy to slow down. And they want to minimize the amount of fuel that they would need to bring. And then they also didn't want to risk like overshooting the moon. I mean, so I imagine it take 3 days to get there and 3 days to get back. assuming
Being
we did something
conservative.
similar. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay. So and coming back, it's also 3 days?
Also 3 days. Yeah.
Oh wow. That's cool. Well, I wonder if the fuels will change or something in the future to where they can just kind of get there quicker without using so much.
Or you could go the cruise ship approach. When you're on the cruise ship, you're like, oh, it's okay to take, a couple of days to get to that island. We have like our swimming pools and our on ship entertainment and our.
That sounds very American. Entertainment. Yeah, I could see that. Okay, so how many miles is it from the Earth to the Moon?
I think it's 150,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's quite a few.
And only 3 days to get there. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah, yep. That is a lot of distance to travel. A lot of energy takes to get you going there. But if it was safe and affordable, would you go to the moon?
I think after all my kids were raised, then yes. So that would be about 8 more years for me. And yeah, I would. I think I would. I don't think I would want to stay there. I don't think I'd do that, but I would visit.
And let's see, whenever you think about space exploration, like the future of humanity, do you think that it's something essential and that eventually we'll have, like humanity will branch out to the rest of the solar system? Or do you think that humanity will always be only on the Earth and maybe we'll just take these little short trips out places? Like when you think of the future, how do you think about it?
It's hard for me to imagine actually having a lifestyle off of the Earth. So I guess for me, I would probably say the short trips, brief visits there and back.
And you mean for you personally, but do you see other people maybe choosing um, to go and settle in these strange and foreign places?
I don't. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. Well, some people are kind of more ambitious than I am, so it's possible. I think you'll always have the ones that'll say, "Yeah, I'll do that. I'll be the first one." So I don't know. I can't see people really colonizing on a planet because how do you go about ownership of that whenever the solar system is for the whole globe, for all nations? So I think you would have to deal with territorial issues just the same as we did, fighting for territory in the beginning when of the beginning of time. Everybody had to fight for their territory. So I don't know. I mean, what do you think of that? How do you think that would be legal or?
Well, I mean, you're right. With the Outer Space Treaty that was signed by pretty much every country in the world, it says that no country could lay claim to things off of the Earth. But you got to imagine if you had like a city with a few hundred or even a few dozen people at a place, they might say, "Hey, we're our own country now," or something like that, and say, you know,
That's an interesting thought. Yeah, because yeah, I could see that. Because how would one say, well, no, you can't do that because it's mine, but I'm not willing to go. So,
did you have you heard of Newt Gingrich?
oh yes, I have.
And so one of the things that he had done, I think in like the 1990s or what have you, was try to pass a law that said after so many people lived on the moon, that it would become like the 51st state or something like that. It's uh, kind of
That's hard to
interesting.
imagine. Was he serious?
I think he was actually. So
Oh
he
wow.
didn't get much traction with it because a lot of people didn't take the idea seriously. But uh, and I mean that's the danger with straying too far away from the mainstream is it's very easy to um, for people to not take your other things seriously either.
Well, yeah, and and again, laying claim to it, like, okay, is it a United States moon now? So
I think
you
a
know,
lot of I think a
you
lot of
could,
people were disappointed after spending all that money on Apollo and everything that we didn't claim the moon.
Can we do that? I mean, do you think it's possible to do that?
I mean, we'd have to break that treaty.
Yeah, yeah, because that would not bring a lot of peace. I don't imagine there'd be some conflict with it. But
Oh, exactly. We can't get to space, but we get to you here. You just watch.
yeah, very interesting. Well, you gave me a lot to think about. Yeah, things I didn't think about before. But I do wonder about. It'd be cool to take some samples of the ice and all of that, and kind of see what's in there.
Absolutely. Um, well, I really appreciate your time. Is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't talk about?
Not that I can think of. It's been an interesting conversation, I'll tell you that.
Oh, the one last thing, as a fellow Texan that you might be interested in knowing, is how much space activity happens in Texas. Everybody knows about the Johnson Space Center, but one thing you may not know is that in McGregor, Texas, near Waco, SpaceX has a rocket testing facility where every single one of their engines gets tested before they use it to launch something. And then they're building in Boca Chica, Texas, which is near Brownsville, this the Starship, which is going to be 100% reusable and allow for you to carry 100 people into space at a time. And it's very possible that Boca Chica may actually be the gateway to the rest of the solar system if they're successful of all the things that they could do, which is completely unimaginable before. But yeah, so.
Wow, I didn't know that. I had no clue. I'll have to check that out one day. I'll be checking and see what the updates are on that. That's pretty cool.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Carol. And anyway, thanks again for helping my project.
Oh, no problem, Nathan. It was good seeing you.
Okay, have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.